I'm David Toth, and this is Making Waves, where I get to chat with some of the most forward thinking leaders in the accounting world. We're diving into everything around leadership, from growth and strategy to alignment and succession, with real stories from people actually making things happen in their firms and the profession. On this show, you'll hear from alumni of the MPB Leadership Accelerated program, formerly known as Managing Partner Bootcamp. These are the folks out there pushing the profession forward, even through some of the most disruptive times we've ever seen. As a chief growth officer at Winding River Consulting, I spend all my time working with accounting firms, helping them grow, adapt, and build stronger practices. This community, it's a rapidly growing one, and I'm proud to be part of something where we all learn from each other. Today, I've got Gwen Nichols with me. She's CEO of Nichols Company CPA, a $3.5 million firm based in Westerville, Ohio, just outside of Columbus. Gwen was part of our 9th MPB cohort in 2019, and she's been leading her firm to success with a focus on individuals and small businesses. Nichols Company is part of the BDO Alliance, and I get to catch up with Gwen a couple times a year, including at our MPB reunions and the Winning Ways conference. This conversation is one I've been looking to for a while. Gwen's leadership story is really entrepreneurial, and even though she wasn't the founder, she's now the owner and CEO. We're going to get into how Nichols Company has grown into what it is today and talk about that awesome slogan they've been using, #less taxing. So let's jump in. Gwen, welcome to Making Waves. How's the team holding up with October 15th deadline right around the corner?
Thank you, David. I'm really happy to be here. I enjoy listening to your podcast very much. Our team's holding up well. We don't tend to be quite as busy as most firms around 9:15 and 10:15, and that's sort of by design. So we're just smiling and working away and hoping to not be here all weekend.
That sounds wonderful. I know it's across the board right now. I'm hearing all stories, so that's nice to know you get to enjoy the last of summer as we head into fall here. I was talking a little bit about your path to leadership is a very entrepreneurial one. While you weren't the founder of the firm, today you're the owner and CEO. I'd love to hear a little bit more about that in your story to getting Nichols Company where it is.
Sure. Well, unlike a lot of firms who are led, small firms who are led by people who left very large firms to go out on their own, I was born and raised in this small environment. But I really think that's a little bit to our benefit because things like fixed fee pricing, really focusing on your specialty and being willing to differentiate yourself by staying true to what has made you successful and really pulling in people to help you grow and continue that trajectory, I think has really contributed to our success. Plus people, hiring great people who align with what we're trying to do, who value being at a small firm, who value working close to where they live in the community, it has helped us with hiring and managing growth and retaining good people.
Well, and Gwen, I hear a lot about that, right? Being people oriented and really being accommodating, but getting to know you the last 4 or 5 years, there's nobody more authentic to that I've met than you when it comes to really putting words to action in your mouth. Maybe talk a little bit about how, becoming CEO. Is that something you always thought you were going to be? And, how did you eventually end up being there at Nichols Company?
So, I became a part owner of the firm after about 10 years. And, at that time, I didn't know what I had no idea what I was doing. Like I said, I'm the hillbilly accountant born and raised in this tiny little practice. But definitely I'm a forward thinking person, and we had excellent leaders that needed to be developed.
Yeah.
And I had a business partner who, was of a certain age, really comfortable in their role. And we got to a point where we needed to shake it up, like for us to really be able to develop the people and the processes and the systems and the leadership opportunities that we would need to be successful long term. We had to get everybody absolutely on the same page. So, ultimately our founder chose to leave. He needed to either leave or retire. And so he chose to leave. And I looked to my two younger partners and said, all right, guys, you're the men of the house now. Take it away. And they did. They did. And as our firm grew, we figured it out as we went along. And you know, we've always invested heavily in paraprofessionals and administrative support and giving people the opportunity to come for a second career, be part-time at the front desk, develop into tax preparers, develop into leading communications and marketing initiatives. So we're always looking for people to come in, get started, bring their gifts, and grow with us.
What something that you kind of mentioned is, and I don't, to be able to recognize this, excellent leaders that need to be developed. That was such a core focus of what you wanted to do in growing this firm. And I don't think everybody sometimes don't recognize what it takes to obviously get to that point to be able to empower the organization to do that. What was one of your biggest challenges in getting there?
Well, I have no problem pushing baby birds out of the nest. So for me, absolutely no challenge.
Yeah.
Um, but I think it created a lot of challenges for other
Yeah.
other people, right? Not everybody is comfortable with that management strategy. So for me, it's really been about giving other people, the time and space to say, wow, we need to work on this type of training, right? We
Yeah.
need to make sure people are getting these kinds of experiences. And, a couple of us could handle that at first. But as our business grows, to really be intentional about that, we not only have to talk about it more, but we have to we're all thinking about the same kinds of things that help develop people and giving people the opportunity with clients. And, to me, the key word is always delegate.
Yeah.
How do you learn how to delegate? I like to say that first, we all have to be working at our highest level of ability at all times in any business, but especially in a small business. And number two, that you can't get promoted till you train your replacement.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, both of those things are key, especially as a small firm is focused on, hiring good talent coming out of school. Our message to these kids is that you can craft your own path with us. We want to help you grow and we will work with you personally to help you develop.
And it sounds like you've got this nice process or program in place for when people want to be leaders and need to learn how to delegate and want to learn what that journey is going to look like. You're really there to help them kind of, on that path. That's
Mhm.
I think a big role you play at your firm.
It is a big role. And what's interesting is that until recently, we were trying to advertise for positions like everybody else,
Right.
right? And not being a large firm and not coming from a large firm, the hierarchical roles, your staff, your senior staff, your man, you're this, you're that. You've got five layers of roles within a firm.
Yeah.
you know, we're a small firm. We help small businesses. We don't need to be more than two accountants deep on anything, right? So there's no place to hide in these layers of roles. And so really what finally helped us get some traction with our advertising was really calling it an entrepreneurial accounting role, because we want people who really see the connection between who they are, what they're doing, and that client who needs served.
So I'd love to keep going down this path. And before we got on this call, looked at
Mhm.
LinkedIn, saw some of the content you're posting. I've noticed a few social posts in regards to this whole industry-wide staff shortage and an approach that might be a little bit, different, if you will. And one's focused on sole practitioners. The other was kind of focused on the entrepreneurial accountant, which you just kind of started highlighting a little bit. Love to learn a little bit more about that focus on the sole practitioner conversation. You guys bring and position it so powerfully on the resources you can provide while still creating some independency around it. So I'd love to hear a little bit more about that and ultimately how's it going?
Sure. Well, thank you, David. When we're turning away 100 or more clients a year because of our own capacity issues,
Yeah.
we've had a tremendous positive impact on people CPAs who've either gone out on their own or other small firms in the area. I've been told a few times over the years, Gwen, my firm is built of the clients you didn't have the capacity to handle.
Yeah.
So, when we really think about what does a sole practitioner's business model look like, right? And, if we're referring work to them, what might become an attractive opportunity for them to just come work with us within our model. And so, it's fascinating to see. I think what I've learned most of all is that some really great talent has become so completely fed up with the grind of a large CPA firm
Yeah.
that they've been willing to walk away and, within 6 months, replace most of their salary.
Yeah. And it
And
works.
that's really
Yeah.
powerful, right?
Yeah.
Now where do they go from there and how do they grow beyond? I think they hit a wall pretty quickly. And, we are cultivating a handful of relationships with people like that. You've got a lot of risks when you're in that kind of role, and you've got a lot of barriers to kind of that next step of growth that we can help remove for that type of accountant.
So focusing on entrepreneurial accountant, focusing on sole practitioners, that's kind of a point of differentiation, knowing the
Mhm.
talent, lack of better terms, war, crisis in the profession. Have you seen an impact? You guys are growing right now and facing the same challenges any firm's facing, whether it's 100 million or 3 million. Um, what's the results been?
We've been successful. When you advertise for somebody who wants to intentionally be entrepreneurial, you're attracting accountants who are typically already proven in that space.
Yeah.
They're not just business development people, but they're used to being in that key advisor role, and they're comfortable
Yeah.
being in that role. So, I've actually been really impressed with the success that we've had when we've made that clear. Plus, we're working directly with entrepreneurs
Yeah.
and their businesses and their families. So, you know, it's a unique type of person that's and personality that's required to really give somebody business advice when the person you're talking with is ultimately, that direct business owner. You're not talking to the controller, you're not talking to the person who got stuck dealing with the tax account.
Right, right. I don't know if you saw this, but recently Gary wrote an article in Accounting Today about the trusted advisor being a thing of the past. Because, and to your point, as firms get larger, capacity is an issue. You're going upstream. You're more focused on getting the task and the work done than you are on that key advisor, trusted relationship role. And a firm like yours, with the approach you're taking and focusing on very clearly defined roles, both in terms of clients and the people you're bringing on, kind of position you to use that again as a point of differentiation to make sure that premium service, that relationship driven service, is always going to be part of Nichols and Company CPA.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I do think that there are professionals out there who value that role,
Yeah,
right? And, prefer, it might sound, call me old fashioned, but there's still, I think, a desire for professionals to want to serve in that capacity and who
yeah,
savor that trusted advisor role. I know, and again, we've been working a lot on creating capacity, and I've been just thrilled to get back into some new client meetings and, starting to coach, thriving businesses, some new businesses, some people in transition who just haven't been getting the personal advice they need. And it's incredibly rewarding,
yeah,
and ultimately, that's what I think most professionals are looking for. And that's really what we can offer
yeah.
to
And
people in the
it's so
market.
important today. I think so often we hear about growing for the sake of growing. We have to get larger, and growth can mean a lot of different things at the end of the day, whether it's profitability, doing what's most important to you, that makes you, proud and fills your passion. I mentioned at the top, a little bit about this hashtag less taxing. And I know it's an initiative you guys have focused on and use it as a point of differentiation, both for staff internally as well as clients. Love to hear a little bit more about, what that really entails and means. I know you talk about a post-tax season schedule, making, clients' lives easier from time to time, but love to talk about that for a few minutes.
Sure, of course. So our mission is that we are driven to build a better experience for a life that is less taxing. And that applies across the board, right? For
Love
our
it.
clients, for our people, and it's not mutually exclusive,
Right.
right? Because when we're working to be better, every day, that benefits both our clients and our employees.
Yeah.
And our clients love it because it knows that we are really truly focused
Yeah.
on helping them pay as little tax as possible, right? Like we are here to help you, not
Yeah.
just fill out forms, not just give operating advice, but I think it just speaks to our being able to stay focused on our vision, really. And it shapes how we interact in our office. And as we can continue to be more mindful around our core values and our mission, we hire for that. And I see a difference, even in seasonal employees when they've been hired by somebody who's staying true to that mission. And we had a lot of fun with our core values in a big pizza lunch we had for potential interns last week. And it really seemed to resonate with them, right? They appreciate understanding,
What are
who
some of the
you
core
are.
values you guys focus on or hit upon? And I know
Sure.
that's evolved.
We have 5 core values. We are astute, collaborative, innovative. We seek constant improvement, and we love tax season. If you don't love tax season, don't talk to us.
Wow. I love it. You don't hear that too often these days. And, I know there's so much noise in the industry today, but, sometimes being in that small town Westerville mentality growth area out not far from Columbus keeps the noise out
Mhm.
of the business, and you're focused on building a good business for good people.
Well, and we differentiate ourselves.
Yeah.
Nobody else is going to get 40 Fridays off a year after tax season.
So I'd love to hear from you. I have two to three questions here, depending on where it goes. Why is leadership development important in general for the profession? You talked about it. It was the reason why you broke off. You focus on developing leaders within your firm. Why is it so important today? And I'd love to hear your perspectives on it.
Well, I look at a CPA firm as a fountain, right? Like you have to bring in new talent. They have to grow. They have to develop. You have to constantly be refreshing, or it's like a river. It just becomes stagnant if that water isn't
Yeah.
moving. And people want to see upside. They want to see opportunity. They want to align their personal goals with their professional goals, and they need clarity on how to do that. They need clarity on how to do that, and that takes time. It takes more time than I have,
Yeah.
and we've been working very diligently on how to deliver that kind of, again, feedback, um, opportunity, delegation. Getting people involved with clients. We don't have a hold it all in. This is my work type of mentality to what we do.
Yeah. Yeah. I think intentionality, with that is so critical. And even using terms like less taxing, I mean, that's an intentional use of a word that's going to, people are going to start understanding what that means, both clients and internally, and just becomes part of the culture at that point, just like your core values. I mentioned you were part of our ninth cohort at Managing Partner Bootcamp or MPB Leadership Accelerated. How has that influenced your journey as a leader?
I really enjoyed participating in Managing Partner Boot Camp. I think we were the cohort that never ended, thanks
The,
thanks to
the
the
pandemic
pandemic.
cohort.
Yes, it was
Yes.
funny. I finally got to meet my cohort. And I'm like, this. I thought this guy was 8 feet tall, and
That's right.
but it was a really great experience. Well, I think you learn from other firms, and in my case, it's not, oh, how can I be like these people over here, right? Because they're $120 million firm, right? But I can learn so much from their experiences and their lessons, and that gives me the ability to transform that into
Yeah.
my firm and its needs, and also understanding how I can differentiate myself, right?
Yeah.
Where, a large firm may hire a first year who's working with offshore staff, or maybe even trying to supervise offshore staff. My first years are learning a lot of the nitty gritty software support, individual tax, and things that they may not have as much depth with in a different environment.
So my last question for you, knowing that, we talked about your firm, where you're located, some of the core values of what's important going forward, what keeps you up at night?
Just all the balls we're juggling,
Yeah.
right? Right, because I'm not the person who's going to say, wow, this is too much, let's put a ball down.
Yeah.
I'm going to say, hey, let's add one more, and I'm going to pass this one off to somebody else. So I think that's it. Just if I had to choose one thing, I would just, people, making sure that we're developing our people, giving them every
Yeah.
opportunity to succeed and grow.
Well, I'm excited to see you coming up in November at Winning Ways, because this year's theme is all about leadership development and focusing on developing the future leaders of the profession, which is so much of what we talked about today. Gwen, it's always a pleasure. Thank you for joining me, and look forward to seeing you in a few weeks.
Thank you so much for having me, David.
Have a great
Appreciate the
day.
opportunity. You too. Bye bye.